The girl in chains, the two sons of Barak Thol, rose slowly over the blood-red sky. As always, the day began with pain. In the deep, dark prison under the alien Baron's fortress, a girl hung by her arms. Her feet did not touch the ground. Her skin was covered in scars, old and new. The chains were cold, heavy, and never removed. Her name was Zila. She had been a slave here for 15 years. Every day, 5 days a week, she was whipped, beaten, and punished. No one knew why. Even she had forgotten the reason. Maybe there never was one. Maybe the Baron just enjoyed it. Baron Zargal was cruel, even for his kind. His face was long, with dark eyes and thick bone horns. He called Zila the human rat. But she was not fully human. Her blood was something different, something the Baron never explained. No other slave was treated like her. Some whispered that she had magic. Others said she was cursed. But no one helped her. They were all too afraid. Zila never begged, never cried. Not after the first year. At night, she lay in a small metal cage. No blanket, no light. Only silence. And pain. Her body was weak, but her eyes were still sharp. She remembered only small pieces of her childhood. A blue sky. A woman's voice. Laughter. Then fire. Screaming. Aliens. Darkness. Chains. Her memories faded long ago. But something inside her still lived. A small voice that whispered, "One day, you will be free." That day, something changed. A strange ship landed on the Baron's platform, a rare thing. Visitors were not common here, especially not humans. Zila was in her cage, just outside the servants' quarters. Her head rested on her knees, her body still sore from yesterday's punishment. Then, she heard voices. Loud, clear, different. One of them was human. She looked up. 3 men walked with the Baron. 2 wore silver armor, alien guards. But the third, he was taller, stronger. His face was human. His eyes were sharp. He moved like a soldier. His name was Captain Mason Reed. Though Zila did not know that yet. Mason had come to Barak Thul on a peace mission, or that's what the aliens believed. But his real job was secret. He was sent to study the Baron's actions. Rumors of illegal slave labs had reached Earth Command. He was told not to get involved, just observe. But when Mason passed the cages, his eyes met hers. Zila stared back. Not with fear, but with something else. Pain, strength, and something he could not name. Mason paused. The Baron noticed. "Ah," Zargal said with a dry laugh. "Ignore that one. She's useless. Just a stubborn little beast I keep for training." The guards. Mason looked again. The girl's arms were thin, her face pale, but her eyes were still alive. He said nothing. But inside, a strange feeling began to grow. That night, Zila was punished again. They said she looked at a guest. She was whipped harder than usual. Blood ran down her back. Her cage was moved deeper into the dungeon. But as she lay there, trembling, something inside her was different. The human saw me, she thought. He saw me, for the first time in years. She dreamed. She dreamed of the blue sky again. Mason couldn't sleep. The image of the girl in chains haunted him. He had seen many things in his life. War, blood, alien cruelty. But something about her felt wrong. Too wrong. He searched the records. No mention of her. No data on human slaves in this sector. That alone was illegal. He spoke to his AI assistant. In secret, run a background scan on human females, aged 25 to 35, reported missing from colonies 15 years ago. The list was long, but one name stood out, Zila Thorne, age 15, last seen in Sector 12, Earth Colony, Astra 3, parents, dead, case, cold. Mason's heart raced. Could it be her? The next morning, he returned to the dungeons. He told the guards. He was inspecting the base. They didn't question him. He stopped outside her cage. Zila looked up slowly. Her lip was bleeding. Her left eye was swollen, but she managed a smile. A small one. "Are you from Earth?" she asked, her voice weak. Dry. Mason nodded once. Her eyes filled with tears, but none fell. "You don't belong here," he whispered. "Neither do you," she replied. For the first time in 15 years, she felt something real. Hope, the human visitor. She wasn't in chains today, but her eyes still were. Zelie sat in a corner of the servants' hall, dressed in rags. Her arms were not tied this time, but she didn't move. The pain from last night still lived in her bones. She could feel every bruise like it had a voice, but her mind was somewhere else. On the man with human eyes. He had stopped. He had looked, and in that short moment, he saw her. Not like the guards did, not like a slave, like a person. No one had looked at her like that in 15 years. Captain Mason Reed stood on the balcony of his guest room. The twin suns burned the horizon in orange and purple. He wasn't admiring the view. His mind was stuck on her. He had come here to observe, not interfere. Earth command was clear: do not start a war. Stay low. Gather data. But that girl. That slave. There was something about her, a quiet power. Like she was fighting, even while bleeding. He couldn't get her out of his head. Later that morning, Mason joined the Baron for a tour of the facility. Zargle was proud, showing off labs, guards, weapons, but Mason wasn't listening. His eyes scanned everything, memorizing doors, codes, cameras. They passed a hall where a group of slaves were cleaning the floor. Mason's eyes found her again. Zila was on her knees, scrubbing silently. Her back was bent, but she moved with care, like every breath mattered. She looked up for just 1 second. Their eyes met again. This time, he nodded. Baron Zargle noticed. "You keep looking at that one," he said, voice low and cold. "She's nothing, a failed experiment." "Experiment?" Mason asked, trying to sound casual. "A long story. Half human, half something else. She won't die, no matter what we do. I keep her for discipline training. Makes the guards stronger." Mason said nothing, but his jaw tightened. The Baron continued, "Don't waste your sympathy. She's just flesh." Mason forced a small smile. "Flesh doesn't look back with eyes like that." The Baron stopped walking. For a moment, silence. Then he laughed. "Humans are always soft." That night, Mason locked his door and activated his AI. "Confirm ID match," he whispered. Zila Thorne, missing 15 years ago from Astra 3. The AI paused. "Match confirmed. DNA signature 93% match. 100% probability with unknown hybrid markers." Hybrid. The word made Mason's skin cold. She wasn't just a slave. She was evidence of something dark. Something Earth was never told. Zila sat in her cage again. Deeper underground now. The Baron moved her after seeing Mason's interest. The air was colder here. The walls were wet. There were no other voices. Only hers. And tonight, she was thinking of him. The human. She could feel something shifting. She had felt it the moment he stopped. The way he looked at her, it broke something open inside her chest. Something she thought had died. She pressed her head against the wall. "Please," she whispered, to no one. "Don't forget me." Mason didn't. He waited until the security patrol shifted. He moved through the halls in silence. His armor blacked out. He reached the underground access door. The AI helped him. Bypass the code. Click. He stepped inside. The air was thick. It smelled like rust and fear. He moved fast, counting the turns. Then he saw her. Zey La, curled in a cage barely big enough for her body. Her arms were bleeding again. Her collar blinked red. She looked up. She didn't scream. Didn't cry. She just breathed in, like she knew he'd come. He knelt beside the cage. "You were taken from Astra 3, he said softly. She nodded. "I'm Captain Mason Reed, Earth Alliance." Her lips trembled. You're real. I'm going to get you out. She looked at her collar. It will kill me if I try to run. I'll find a way. A silence passed between them. The kind that says more than words. Why me? She whispered. Because you're still alive, he said. And I think that scares them. Suddenly, an alarm. Red lights flashed in the hallway. Voices shouted above. Zila's collar blinked faster. Mason stood. I'll come back. Be ready. She reached out through the bars, touched his hand. I've waited 15 years, she said. I can wait one more night. As Mason vanished into the shadows, Zila closed her eyes, not because she was afraid, but because she was dreaming again, dreaming of freedom. The cell. She didn't fear the cage anymore. She feared what might happen if she left it. Zila sat. In the corner of her cage, knees pulled to her chest. The cold metal floor had become her world, her bed, her table, her grave. For 15 years, this small square of darkness was all she knew. But now? It felt smaller. Tighter. Because for the first time in years, hope had entered her cage. And hope was dangerous. Captain Mason Reed moved like a shadow through the corridors of the alien fortress. His black armor absorbed the light. His breathing was steady. But his mind raced. Everything he had seen confirmed it. The girl was human. Or at least she used to be. Now she was something more, something designed. He returned to his guest room, just minutes before the guards passed by. The alarm had stopped, but his heart hadn't slowed. He sat on the bed and opened his wrist console. A file blinked on the screen. Zila Thorne, classified, genetic hybrid. The file was old, half corrupted, but he could read enough. Subject: recovered from human colony Astra 3. DNA indicates partial human, partial unknown xenotype 7, resistance to pain. Accelerated healing, neural link development. Subject displays high psychological endurance. Long-term potential, biological key to dormant alien systems. Mason leaned back. She wasn't just a slave, she was a key. A weapon, a secret Earth never knew, and the Baron was keeping her hidden alive. But broken. Down in the cell, Zila traced a line on the wall with her finger. There were hundreds of marks carved there. One for every time she was punished. One for every time she woke up alive. She stopped counting at 4,000. Her fingers touched a newer line. This one was different. This one meant something had changed. She remembered his voice. You don't belong here. I'll come back. She had waited so long for those words, but a voice in her head whispered, what if he never returns? What if this is just another dream? Footsteps echoed outside. Zila looked up, eyes alert. But this time, it wasn't the guard. It was him. Mason knelt beside the cage, his face lit only by the blue glow of his console. You're hurt, he said softly, looking at her arm. I've been worse, she whispered. He placed a small energy bar through the bars. Eat this. Zila hesitated. No poison, he smiled. She took it. Her hands shook. As she ate, Mason scanned the collar on her neck. This is not just a tracker, he said. It's a mind lock. She looked at him. Then I can't leave. He shook his head. You can. But we'll need to break the code, and that means I need time. Time is dangerous down here. I know. Mason opened a second file. It was encrypted, but the words flashed. Zila is one of 5. Others dead. Only survivor. Neural imprint locked. Subject is final key to the vault of Sarvin. Unlock her. And you unlock the weapon. Mason's blood ran cold. Zila wasn't just valuable, she was the last piece of a puzzle alien empires were willing to kill for. And she had no idea. I need to ask you something, Mason said quietly. Do you remember your mother? Zila blinked. She hadn't heard that word in years. I remember her eyes, she whispered. They were kind like yours. Mason almost smiled. Her name was Dr. Lyra Thorne. She was a top xenobiologist. She died trying to stop a rogue alien project. Zila's face tensed. They told me nothing, just darkness. Mason leaned closer. She died protecting you. That's why they took you. Zila was silent for a moment. Then I must be important, she said, voice flat. You are, Mason answered. And that's why I'm getting you out. Suddenly, a sharp sound. The collar glowed bright red. Zila cried out, grabbing her neck. Her body jolted. Emergency override, Mason said. They're watching. He pulled back fast. Footsteps again, louder this time. He had to go. But before he disappeared, he looked at her one last time. You're not alone anymore. Zila's lips parted, but she said nothing. He was gone. The guard passed by a minute later, saw nothing, and moved on. Zila lay in silence, her chest rising slowly. For the first time in 15 years. Her cage felt weaker, and she felt stronger. Chains of the past. She didn't remember being born, but she remembered the day she died, the first time. It was 15 years ago. A girl, only 15, stood in a burning hallway. Red lights, smoke, screams. Her hands were bloody, not from violence, but from holding a door shut. Behind that door were her parents. They had locked her out to protect her. Then the blast came, and silence followed. That was the end of her world, and the start of another. Now in the cold dark of the dungeon, Zila opened her eyes. She had dreamed again. That same moment, her mother's voice yelling, "Run!" The door closing. The fire. She didn't cry. She never did. But her chest hurt, like the memory had claws. In the fortress above, Captain Mason Reed sat alone in the observation chamber. Before him, a hologram rotated slowly, a strange black vault with glowing alien runes. The AI spoke softly. Vault of Sarvan, classified weapon site. Key required, hybrid neural signature match. Only one recorded match found. Subject, Zila Thorne. Mason exhaled slowly. She wasn't just a target. She was the last living key to a weapon no one fully understood. Why had Earth been silent about this? Why hadn't anyone come for her in 15 years? Unless they thought she was dead. Or worse, they wanted her to be. Zila sat with her back against the bars. Her collar had cooled, but the skin around it was raw. She could still feel his hand from last night, still hear his voice. You're not alone anymore. It echoed louder than her pain, but hope was a dangerous thing. It made you forget the rules. It made you believe. Until it killed you. She had seen others' hope. They all died. Why should she be different? She closed her eyes again, and this time she didn't see fire. She saw the earth, not the real one. Just how she imagined it. Blue sky, ocean, wind, place where the air didn't hurt and no one screamed. Her mother had told her stories about it, back when they were happy. One day we'll go to the real ocean, Zila, the kind without steel walls. Promise, promise. That promise died with her mother. But maybe it didn't. Mason couldn't sleep. Instead, he stared at a dataship. It held decrypted logs from Baron Zargel's personal lab. Hybrid subject's blood contains rare xeno-DNA. Unlocks dormant alien tech. Neural scans suggest possible link with Sarvan relic. Multiple attempts to extract key failed. Pain tolerance higher than expected. Memory blocks remain. Subject resists conditioning. Must keep alive. Weapon activation may require emotional trigger. Human memory. Imprint important. Mason gritted his teeth. Zila had survived for 15 years, not just because of luck, but because they needed her whole. They tortured her slowly on purpose. Baron Zargel, sitting in his throne chamber, watched an old video. A child, screaming. In a lab, her arms tied, tubes in her spine. Blood drawn. Zila, age 15. He smiled. To break a diamond, he whispered. You strike it every day, gently, until it cracks. Back in the dungeon, Mason returned. Quiet, fast. Zila looked up. No words, just a nod. He brought a small tool, a black stick no bigger than a finger. EMP disruptor, he said. Short circuits alien tech, might fry the collar. Might? She asked. It's either this, he said, or we wait for a rescue that's never coming. She nodded. Do it. He pressed it against the collar. The device buzzed. Sparks flew. Zila screamed. A short, sharp sound. Then silence. The collar fell off. She gasped, grabbing her neck. For the first time in 15 years. She was not wearing chains. She looked at her hands like they belonged to someone else. Is this real? She asked. Mason smiled. Yeah, it is. Footsteps echoed from the hallway. He grabbed her arm. Time's up. We move now. Where? Up, then out. You know this place better than anyone. She nodded slowly, then pointed left. That way, old servant tunnel, no cams. Lead the way. She walked ahead, limping, slow but free. Every step felt unreal. She was still bleeding, still hurting, but her chains were gone. And now, she was walking towards something that looked like freedom. No way out. The air outside her cage didn't taste like freedom. It tasted like fire and blood. Zila had dreamed of this moment for 15 years, but dreams were quieter than reality. Freedom wasn't peaceful. It was loud, messy, and terrifying. She and Mason moved through the old servant tunnels. The walls were tight. The floor dripped with green liquid from broken pipes. Above them, alarms screamed like dying birds. Zila held her arms close. Her body ached with every step. But she didn't stop. Not now. Mason followed close behind, blaster drawn. His face was focused, jaw locked. Every time she stumbled, he grabbed her hand, pulled her forward. They didn't speak. There was no time for words. Back in the command chamber, Baron Zargul stared at a red flashing screen. Subject 09 has escaped. He didn't scream. He didn't curse. He smiled. She ran. He whispered. Finally, he turned to his guards. Let her. The guards looked confused. Zargul stood slowly. Now we see where she runs to, and what she remembers. In the tunnel, Zila stopped. Her hand pressed to a panel on the wall. A door hissed open, a forgotten access hatch. How did you know this was here? Mason asked. She looked back. I cleaned this floor with my own blood. I know every crack. They stepped inside and sealed the hatch behind them. Darkness swallowed the space. Only Mason's wrist console glowed faint blue. They crouched there, breathing hard. Zila's voice was a whisper. Why now? After all these years? Why are you the one who came? Mason looked at her for a long moment. I didn't know you existed, he said. But the moment I saw you, I couldn't leave you behind. No one ever came before. Maybe they didn't have the guts. Or maybe, she said, they didn't believe I was worth saving. You are, he said, more than you know. The silence broke again. Loud metal bangs echoed above them. The Baron had sent hunter drones, four-legged machines with heat sensors and plasma claws. Mason's eyes narrowed. They're tracking us. We're underground, Zila said. They'll find us anyway. He activated his AI. Sparrow, I need extraction. One human and one high-priority subject. The AI voice replied calmly. Request received. Evac window, 22 minutes. Coordinates required. Zila closed her eyes, trying to remember the old escape routes. There's a chamber above this tunnel, she said. Medical lab leads to the upper yard. Can we reach it? Only if we pass through the testing room. Mason paused. What's in there? She looked away. My nightmares. They moved fast. The tunnel opened into a large, dark room, filled with shattered glass chambers and hanging wires. Zila froze at the entrance. This was it. the room where she'd been strapped down. Over and over again. Where they broke her mind, piece by piece. Where they tested her blood. Her pain. She saw the table, still stained, still waiting. Mason stepped in front of her. "You don't have to go in." "Yes, I do," she said. "I was born again in that room. It's time I walk through it." They stepped inside. Suddenly, the lights snapped on. The door slammed shut. A voice echoed around them, cold, familiar. "Baron Zargel. Do you think this is escape, little girl? No. This is the final test." Zila looked around. Panels in the walls opened. Hunter drones stepped out, 6 of them. Mason raised his blaster. "Get behind me." "No," Zila said. She walked forward, her breathing slowed, her eyes narrowed, and for the first time in years, she felt something inside her wake up. A sound, low and deep, rang from the walls. The floor beneath her feet pulsed with light. Mason looked around, stunned. "What's happening?" Zila didn't answer. Her body glowed faintly. Blue veins lit under her skin. The air changed. The drones froze mid-step. Mason stared. "Zila, what are you?" Her voice was calm. "I think I'm the weapon." The great escape. She had always wondered what power felt like. Now she knew. It felt like remembering who you really are. For years, Zila had felt like a ghost. Silent, forgotten, chained. But now, she stood tall in the testing room where her pain was born, and the room itself responded to her. The lights above her flickered. The walls pulsed. The drones that had come to kill her were frozen. Their red eyes turned blue. Mason stepped back, stunned. Zey while a single quote's skin still glowed, a faint blue web beneath the surface. "I don't know what's happening," she said softly, "but I think this place knows me." Above them, in the control room, Baron Zargel leaned forward. He wasn't angry. He was thrilled. "She's waking up," he whispered. "Perfect." His scientists panicked. "Should we shut the system down?" "No," the Baron said. "Let her feel it. Let her remember." Zila walked through the middle of the room. The drone slowly turned to face her, but didn't attack. Mason followed, blaster still raised. "Zila, what did they do to you?" She stopped and placed her hand on one of the walls. The metal beneath her fingers turned soft, like liquid, and then formed a symbol. A circle, split by a star. Mason's scanner beeped. "That's not tech," he said. "That's language." "I've seen this in my dreams," she whispered. "Always just before I wake up." Suddenly, the floor shook. A hidden door opened at the back of the room, a way out. But just as they moved toward it, the lights cut out. Then, footsteps. Not machine. Not drone. Heavy. Alive. Baron Zargel. He stepped into the room like a shadow with horns. His long cloak dragged across the ground. His hands glowed with alien energy. "You think you're special, girl?" he said. "I'm not a girl anymore," Zila said. "No," he agreed. "You're the last key, and I am the lock." Mason stepped in front of her. "She's coming with me," the Baron laughed. "You're just a soldier. You don't understand what she is." "I don't have to," Mason said. "I just know she doesn't belong in a cage." Zargel raised his hand. A blast of red lightning shot across the room. Mason was thrown into the wall. "Hard," Zila screamed. Her glow flared brighter. The ground beneath her cracked. And then, something inside her mind snapped into place. She remembered it all. The lab, the injections, the tests, the screams, and then her mother's voice. "If they unlock you too soon, they will turn you into a weapon. But if you survive it long enough, you'll choose who you are." Zila's eyes opened. She chose. Power exploded from her chest in a wave of blue light. The room shook. The glass shattered. The Baron screamed. As his body was hurled back, Mason crawled to her, stunned. "Are you okay?" She nodded. "I think I just rewired the building." Above, emergency sirens blared. Systems collapsed. Doors unlocked. Slaves in other cells suddenly saw light for the first time in years. Zila had unknowingly triggered a base-wide system unlock. Freedom wasn't just coming for her now. It was coming for all of them. Zey. Lan Mason ran through the newly opened passage. Smoke filled the hallways. Sparks flew. The entire fortress was shaking. Outside, the air was hot. Fire filled the sky. And in the distance, a ship hovered low, waiting. Mason activated his comms. Sparrow, lock onto my signal. Pick us up now. The AI replied, target acquired. Landing in 60 seconds. They reached the cliff edge. Behind them, Zargle rose again. Body burned, furious. Zila turned, raising her hand instinctively. A pulse of blue energy pushed him back again. Mason looked at her. You ever trained with those powers? Nope. Learning fast. They both laughed for the first time. The ship dropped low. Its hatch opened. They jumped aboard just as the Baron reached the edge. Screaming, the hatch sealed. Zeyla looked down through the window. The fortress, her prison, was burning. She whispered, good. The ship shot upward, breaking through the clouds. For the first time ever, Zeyla saw the stars not through a cage, but through a window. Mason handed her a blanket. You're safe now. She shook her head. Not yet. You saw what I did. That power, it's not done with me. Mason sat beside her. Then we find out what it is, together. She looked out at the stars. I don't just want to be free, she said. I want to find out why I was made. And what I'm supposed to stop. Freedom and fire. She was no longer just a slave. No longer just a survivor. She was the answer to a question the galaxy had tried to forget. The stars blurred past the window as the ship jumped into light speed. For Zila, it was her first time moving faster than light, but her thoughts were moving even faster. She wasn't free yet. Not really. Not until she understood why she was created. And what she was meant to stop. Captain Mason Reed stood at the ship's control panel, scanning hyperspace routes. His armor was scratched, his ribs bruised. But he was smiling. Not because they escaped, because she escaped herself. Behind him, Zila sat wrapped in a gray blanket. Her eyes stared ahead, unblinking, not afraid, but focused. Calm in a way no one had ever seen her before. She wasn't just different now. She was becoming something. Something even the Baron couldn't control. Suddenly, the ship's console beeped. The AI spoke. Unidentified signal. Long-range transmission. Origin, Barak Thol ruins. Mason frowned. Put it through. The hologram glitched, then cleared. Baron Zargle appeared. Burned. Bleeding. But alive. His voice was cracked, hateful. You think you've won, human? You don't understand what she is. She's not your friend. She's a lockbreaker. A system destroyer. She was made to unchain things you can't control. The vault of Sarvan is waking. And when it does, she will wish she stayed in that cage. The signal cut. Zila didn't flinch. She simply said, good, let it wake. Mason turned to her. What is the vault of Sarvan? I don't fully know, she said. But it's calling. To me, like something ancient buried inside my blood remembers it. Do you want to go there? She stood slowly, the blanket falling to the floor. I have to. The galaxy put chains on something. Something old, dangerous. And I'm the only one who can open it or stop it. A few hours later, the ship reached a dark, quiet planet, scarred with craters and strange markings. This was it, Sarvan, a graveyard of dead technology, alien ruins. Black towers half buried in the dust. They landed near the largest crater. At its center, a door, tall, silent, waiting. Zila stepped forward. Her body began to glow again, the same soft blue. Mason watched, hand near his blaster. The door responded. Lines lit up across its surface. matching the pattern in Zila's veins. It opened with a long thunder-like hum. Behind it, darkness. They walked inside. The walls were alive with ancient light. Symbols floated. The air tasted strange, like memory and electricity. At the center of the chamber stood a pod. Inside it, a creature, not dead, not alive, sleeping. Zila stared at it, and it opened its eyes. The voice did not speak in sound. It entered her mind. You are the one, the last key, the seed that was hidden in human blood. We were locked away by the ones who feared what we could become. But now, the chains are broken. Zila stepped closer. Mason shouted, Zila! Don't, but. She didn't stop. Her hand touched the pod. And everything exploded in light. She saw it all. The war. The vaults. The creation of hybrid children like her, made to carry living code. Weapons inside blood. Some became monsters. Some were destroyed. Only one survived. Her. When the light faded, Zila was still standing, but the pod was empty. The being was gone, absorbed. Into her. She turned to Mason, eyes glowing brighter than ever. I understand now. What happened? I was made to destroy control systems. That's why I survived. That's why the Baron feared me. But, can you control it? Zila looked at her hands. I don't need to control it, she said. I need to choose what I set free. She looked up at the stars. Somewhere out there. Others were still in chains. Still forgotten. Still waiting. Zila was no longer just escaping. She was going back for them. Final scene. Back on Earth. A military general watches a classified file. Zila's image appears on screen. Status. Unknown. Last seen. Vault of Sarvan. Risk level. Maximum code name. Chainbreaker. The general frowns. God help us or her.